definition from Bhagavad Gita of sannyas. The giving up of activities that are based on material desire is what great learned men call renounced order of life, sannyas. So basically, if some activity is material, a sannyasi won't do it, won't engage in any kind of material activities. Let's say he won't go to work for money. Traditionally, a sannyasi will never do that. He'll be basically preaching and teaching people spiritual knowledge and so on and so on. Now, Bhagavad Gita is giving even more higher understanding about renunciation than sannyas. This is tyaga. You can read about these two things in the beginning of 18th chapter.
Chapter 5 too.
Yes, many places they're explained, but especially in the beginning of 18th chapter, Arjuna is asking, what is sannyas and what is tyaga? And Krishna is giving the definitions by, this was the definition of sannyas. A sannyasi, he's renouncing all material activities. And tyagi, he's not renouncing the activity itself, but he's renouncing the result from his activity. So, and Krishna is saying from both actually, which is higher?
So he renounces the result of their activity.
Yes, tyaga is higher. Why? Because tyaga is more like an internal consciousness. Because externally you may be a sannyasi, or you may renounce, let's say, any kind of material work, but still you may want to enjoy the results of, let's say, your preaching. Or everybody should say that I'm a great preacher and they should recognize me, or everybody should give me money because I want to build this big temple and my name should stay for eternity and this and that. So still you can, in a subtle way, kind of benefit yourself, wants to get something for yourself. But tyaga means that you are engaged in your prescribed duty, whatever it is, but you don't want the result for yourself. You're ready to give the result for some good cause. Ideally, the best cause is Krishna consciousness. So for the Lord, give the result. So this is very, very important. Sannyasi, by the way, there is another very famous verse, the first verse from 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. It is saying, Anashrita karma palam karyam karma karoti ya sa sannyasi sa yogicha nan niragnir na chakriyaha. Who is sannyasi? Someone who is anashrita, karma palam. He is not attached to the pala, to the fruit of his karma. And how is he acting? Karyam. It's just my duty. I will do this. I will not say, no, I won't do it. I will do it. But why I'm going to do it? Not because I want to get something out of it, because it's my duty to do it. This is a real sannyasi, saying Krishna. Na niragnir na chakriyaha. And not someone who is not performing, who is... Correct. Not someone who is, let's say, not lighting a fire, or someone who is renouncing the work that he's supposed to do. Why is Krishna saying this to Arjuna? Because Arjuna has this idea that, okay, now because there is a battle, and actually I don't want to take part in this battle, so let me become a sannyasi. I will renounce my duties. I will renounce my obligations. But Krishna is saying, wait a minute, it's not a real sannyasi, someone who is stopping to act. The real sannyasi is the person who is actually performing his duty, but he is not attached to the result. He is ready to give the result to Krishna. This is the real sannyasi. So sannyasi is actually the last level in the Vedic system from the spiritual levels of spiritual elevation of the consciousness. And the idea is that you become completely ready to go back to the spiritual world. In other words, as we said in the beginning, everyone should gradually develop this consciousness of being a sannyasi. Meaning, he should understand that everything belongs to Krishna and nothing belongs to me. And all my endeavors, all my thoughts, all my actions, everything is meant for the pleasure of the Lord. And if we are acting like that constantly, this is sannyas. It doesn't matter if we are wearing saffron clothes or we are wearing white clothes. If we have this consciousness, actually this is real sannyas. As Srila Prabhupada is commenting one time, Srila Prabhupada sent these 3 couples from San Francisco to London. Yes? You know? Shyama Sundara and Malati, Gurudas and Yamuna, and which one was the third one? I don't remember now, but 3 couples. He sent it to London to open a center there. And they were super successful. They opened a place, they met the Beatles, George Harrison became a devotee, they recorded this short album which like for a few weeks became like top 1, top 2 album in the whole world. The whole world.
The Radha Krishna album in London.
The whole world started listening Hare Krishna and singing Hare Krishna. It was like a miracle. Prabhupada was so happy, so happy, so happy. So then he said, these people, they are family people, but actually they are greater than sannyasis. Because the impact that they have, it's bigger than the impact of sannyasis. So actually my family people, my family disciples, they are like a sannyasis. They go over the world and they are preaching. And Prabhupada commented like that. So the head or the spiritual master of the social statuses and orders is a sannyasi. So according to the social system, from the Varnas, Brahmana is the highest. Everybody else is listening to Brahmana, like the businessmen, the working class, the administrators, kings. Everybody should listen to Brahmanas. The Brahmanas like are the top of the society. But even the Brahmanas, they have to listen to sannyasi. That means a Brahmana who took this renunciation from the world. He is the natural leader and the natural teacher of the whole society, the whole Vedic society. So that's why in our society also there is a sannyasi. Everybody is offering him respect and trying to help him, to serve him, because he is like the highest level personality. That's the idea. The main duties of a sannyasi are self-control and non-violence. So these are the things that a sannyasi should become perfect in. He should perfectly control his senses, and he is living for the benefit of others. He doesn't want to create trouble, problems, violence in the life of anybody. Now there are 4 different stages in sannyas itself, how gradually a person is advancing upwards. First level is called Kuti-chaka. Have you heard? No? Kuti-chaka. That means the sannyasi stays outside his village in a cottage, and his necessities, especially his food, are supplied from home. So he's sannyasi, he lives independent outside of the village, but still his relatives, someone, is bringing everyday food for him. So he's not worried about his food. He lives a spiritual life, but this anxiety that, how I'm going to survive, he doesn't bother about this, because he knows every day they will bring me food. That's the first level. Then when a sannyasi advances even more in his consciousness, he's called Bahudaka. No longer accepts anything from home, collects necessities, especially his food, from many places. This is known as Madhukari. Literally means the profession of the bumblebee. Why? Because a bumblebee whole day is going from one flower to other flower, but takes little bit from everywhere. Because he may go to one house and get everything from there, or he may go every day to the same house because he knows, these people, they like me very much and they'll take very nice care of me. But this is not allowed. Every day he should go to different places and he should get a little bit from here, a little bit from there. Like, 2 chapatis from this house, 2 chapatis from there, little sabji from this house. And then, at some point, I have enough for my meal, so Haribo. Why this is done? What is the idea? Do you have some suggestions?
The attachment?
Detachment, definitely detachment. Yes.
I was going to say, like, because you get to, it gives you an opportunity to explore different types of places, maybe different types of food, maybe different types of cultures. So you get a kind of more well-rounded perspective.
Yes. A little bit more specific, yes.
Gives you a chance to preach to different people at their
Yes, very important point. Because you associate with so many people, you can have impact in their life. You can tell them something spiritual. And this is the idea of sannyas, actually, giving spiritual knowledge to the rest of the society. That's the most important main point. And there is one more point. Why?
Is it to rely on God for your sustenance?
Yes, exactly. Because you do it day after day, and you start like you are with nothing, and then you start, and you don't know where you go. It's not like you are going to the place when you know they will give you. You go anywhere and everywhere, and every single day, at the end, you have something to eat. So you develop this very strong conviction in yourself that it doesn't matter where I am, Krishna will take care of me. Krishna will not leave me to starve. So this is very important, because then you become fearless. Because you know, Krishna will always take care of me. Krishna will always protect me. This is a very important quality for being completely dependent from God. So that's the idea. Great. Then, next level is Parivrajacacharya. Travels all over the world to preach the glories of Lord Vasudeva. So he becomes a world preacher, because now he is not afraid anymore. He doesn't need to stay in his village or in the close by area. Now he's fearless, and he knows it doesn't matter where I will go, Krishna will take care of me. And then he makes the whole world his family. Vasudeva Kutumbakam. The whole world becomes his family. He doesn't differentiate anymore. Oh, this one is my friend, this one is enemy. No. Everyone becomes part of his family. This is the universal consciousness a sannyasi should develop. And that's why he's trying to give the mercy to everybody. He has this deep internal understanding that, wait a minute, all people, they are suffering because they lack spiritual knowledge. They lack God consciousness. So let me give them this. And then they'll become happy. And that's the mission of his life. And then the last level is known as Paramahamsa. Have you heard? Paramahamsa. When he finishes his preaching work and sits down in one place strictly for the sake of advancing in spiritual life, completely controls his senses and engages in devotional service, the topmost position in renounced life. So sometimes when we are offering prayers in the temple, and when we are referring to Srila Prabhupada, we are saying Jaya Om Vishnupat Paramahamsa Parivrajacacharya Ashtotara Shata. Parivrajacacharya.
So much trouble saying this. Parivrajacacharya.
Yes, Parivrajacacharya. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. So basically it shows that Srila Prabhupada, he was on this most high, like the highest level of consciousness. He was ready to go all over the world to preach, to give the mercy to everybody. And at the same time, he had this very deep internal relationship with Krishna. That's why he's Paramahamsa, the greatest level of consciousness. Do you have some questions about these levels?
Like how long each one has, it varies, I guess, stages?
Yes.
5 years each? Or?
Well, you can make it like a years. It's rather a question of consciousness. So how much it will take you to advance to the next level of consciousness. It's a question of elevation of consciousness. So if the devotee is on this level and he's working gradually, he's striving to go to the next level. And it may take, for some person, 1 year, for some person 1 month, for some person 10 years. It depends how fast he will advance. Also, sometimes they say another level may be Another level may be you go on the fields where people are taking their crops, and whatever is left after them on the ground, some grains, you just collect these ones, and you cook them and you eat, and this is how you maintain yourself. This is another level of natural maintaining yourself.
Like Madhavendra Puri.
Madhavendra
Eat
Puri.
what people offer to him.
Actually, Madhavendra Puri, he was on a higher level because it is said that sometimes Madhavendra Puri, he was not eating for days. He was getting so much satisfaction and happiness from his internal connection with Krishna that he was out of ecstasy, he was forgetting to eat. And then after not eating for 1-2 days, Krishna was becoming worried. And Krishna was coming to make a personal arrangement for him. Wait a minute, my great devotee is not eating for 2 days. I mean, I have to do something. I cannot leave him to starve. So Krishna was personally making arrangements.
It's not technically an austerity at that point, though, right? Because he's forgetting.
For him, it's not austerity. For the outside people, how they perceive it, it will be great austerity. But for him, he is not austerity. It's not austerity. Like this, a very famous story. It happened on Govardhan. Madhavendra Puri was on Govardhan, and he was just chanting maybe for 1 day, not caring for eating. And then one boy came and said, "Hey, Baba, why you are not eating anything?" And he said, "How do you know?" And the boy said, "Well, I'm living here, the close village, so everybody knows you are here and you are not eating. So I just brought you some milk to drink. Please drink the milk. Later I'll come for the pot." And then Madhavendra Puri, he felt some amazing attraction to this boy. But anyway, the boy gave the milk and left. He drank the milk, and this milk was like nectar, like, wow, so tasty. And he was waiting for the boy to come, and the boy did not come. He was like, what was this boy like? It was so attractive. And then at night, during his night, Krishna appeared in his dream and told him, "Actually, I am the owner of this village, and my name is Gopal, and I'm buried here in the ground in some bushes from so many years. I am experiencing hunger and thirst and always feeling cold during the winter and so hot in the summer. Please come and save me." And then Madhavendra Puri woke up and immediately woke up all the villagers and said, "Come on, Gopal is waiting for us." And they went in this like remote place in the forest, and they actually found this deity of Gopal, of Krishna, and he installed it on the top of Govardhan. So these great Vaishnavas, they are on a different level. Also, there is the story with Raghunath Das Goswami. I think, if I remember correctly, he became sick, and a doctor came, a Ayurvedic doctor, and checked his pulse and his symptoms and said, "Oh, you overate very heavily with the sweet rice. That's why you became sick." And the other Vaishnavas around, they said, "What sweet rice? He's maybe hardly drinking some buttermilk every 3 days. He didn't overate with any sweet rice. Come on." And then Raghunath Das Goswami, he said, "Oh, actually, yes, sorry, he's saying the truth. I overate with sweet rice." He said, "What? How is this possible?" He said, "Actually, with my spiritual body, I was in the spiritual world, and there was a big feast. Krishna was feasting with the cowboys, so I actually overate with the sweet rice." So on this level, it's not anymore a question of tapasya. It's rather a question of like constant sense gratification on the spiritual platform.
I heard this somewhere. It was something. It was one of his pastimes Indraduma Maharaj was talking about. But like when Raghunath Bhatta, when he was in the world, when Santan Goswami left the world, he was experiencing such intense separation that he stopped eating for like a year. He stopped eating. And then when Rupa Goswami left the world, he was experiencing double the separation, and so he stopped drinking too. And he like basically went with nothing. I don't understand what the progression was with that. Like, when did he take the buttermilk every 3 days, and when did he give up all eating and drinking altogether? I don't understand.
You know the whole story about Raghunath Das? Or?
I don't know.
Well, shortly he wanted to escape of his family and completely surrender to Mahaprabhu. But then his parents, they were so attached to him and they were super rich. His father got a special security to keep him at home, so he couldn't leave. But then at some point, Krishna gave him like a chance, showed him, and he disappeared. And he was walking all the way from Bengal to Orissa, to Jagannath Puri, and it took him maybe like, I don't know, it's around 700 kilometers maybe, so I don't know which part exactly in Bengal, but I guess at least for maybe 5, 6, 7 days he was walking. So it said that for this time he took like every 2 or 3 days only, like he was finding some buttermilk or something like that. And then he developed this very great taste for renunciation, getting taste from austerity. So then he went to Mahaprabhu, and of course his father got it that he's in Jagannath Puri with Mahaprabhu. So he sent some people, and the people went there and they said, well, his father wants him back, and Mahaprabhu said, no, if he came here, so that's it, he's staying here. And then his father knew that most probably he won't come back, so he sent also some money, and I think a cook, something like that, for him. So they said, okay, at least we're giving this money. So now Raghunath, he was kind of a renounced order, but he had money. So he was thinking, okay, what to do with this money anyway, I have them. So he was inviting every, I think, 2 weeks or 1 month, Mahaprabhu and all the Vaishnavas for a big feast. This is how he was using the money, the only way how he was using his money. He was doing this for some months, maybe a year, maybe a little more. His father was sending the money, he was using all the money for the service of the Vaishnavas. And then after this time, he said to his father, don't send money anymore. And then Mahaprabhu asked, so why Raghunath Das is not inviting me anymore for this feast? And Swarup Damodar said, oh, he said to his father that he doesn't want to be dependent anymore on him, so he's not taking money. And when Mahaprabhu heard this thing, he said, oh, very good, very good. And then he said, and how he's maintaining himself? And he said, well, there is one booth every day they are giving out free prasadam, so he just goes there and eat little khichdi and that's it. And Mahaprabhu said, very nice. And then after little time, few months, he said to Swarup Damodar, I don't see Raghunath Das sitting on this booth for the free prasadam distribution. And Raghunath Das Goswami, he said, yeah, he said this is like to make him too dependent, how he wants to get rid of this. And Mahaprabhu said, and how he's maintaining himself now? And he said, well, he's just staying on one of the doors of the Jagannath temple and he's begging from the people, and whatever they give him, this is his food. And Mahaprabhu said, very good, very nice, I'm very happy. And then after a few months, he said, what's happening? I don't see Raghunath Das Goswami begging anymore on the door of Jagannath temple. And Swarup Damodar said, well, he shared with me that actually he feels like a prostitute. Because every day certain people, they go there and he is seeing how his mind is thinking, oh, this gave me yesterday. Definitely he will give me today again. Yes, I can depend on him. So he said he doesn't like this. He wants to depend on Krishna, not on the people. So he just renounces this. And Mahaprabhu said, very nice, but how he's maintaining himself? And Swarup Damodar said, he just goes behind the temple where they throw out the old prasadam, and he's just getting which parts of those prasadam are not completely rotten, and he just gets this one, and this is his food. And when Mahaprabhu heard this, and he said, very nice. And then he said, come, I want to go and see him. And Mahaprabhu went there and saw him. He's getting a rice which is actually already kind of rotten. He takes this rice, he washes it under the water, and stays only the internal part of the rice, which is not completely rotten, and this is what he eats. And when Mahaprabhu saw him and told him, Raghunath, I heard you have this nectar and you are keeping it only for yourself. Why you don't want to share with us? And Raghunath Das Goswami was, my Lord, please, this is not a food which is meant for a personality like you. Please, don't do that, please. And Mahaprabhu said, you don't want to share this with me? And just forcefully and took one part of this food from the hand of Raghunath Das and immediately throw it in his mouth. And Raghunath Das Goswami was like, no, my Lord, please don't do that. And Mahaprabhu was like, oh, what a nectar, so tasty, so nice. So, of course, nobody can do that. Like, we are not on this level of renunciation. But this was just to show how great were the devotees of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. There is one very famous verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita which is saying, Mahaprabhura Bhakta Ganera Vairagya Pradhan. The wealth of the Vaishnavas, of the devotees of Mahaprabhu, is their Vairagya. Vairagya Pradhan. Yaka Deki Pritikana Gaura Bhagavan. And when Shri Chaitanya is seeing this in them, in their character, he becomes very happy. Pritihana, very joyful. Oh, my devotees, they are so detached from the material sense gratification and actually so attached to the service of Krishna. So Mahaprabhu is getting happiness from this. Anyway, just to finish the topic. So, as we said, a sannyasi should cultivate very strong fearlessness and purity and knowledge. One time, Kadamba Kanal Maharaj was speaking and he said, sometimes people there are asking me, so what is our security for the future? If we are devotees, what is our security for the future? And Kadamba Kanal Maharaj said, well, purity is our security. If we are pure in our heart, Krishna will take care of us. Why not? We will have faith in this thing. Krishna will never leave me alone. Krishna will always take care of me. So purity is our security, and this is one of the qualities of a sannyasi. Because he is pure in heart, he has this strong conviction that Krishna will take care of me, no problem. Oh, they want to throw me out of this job. No problem. I don't care. Krishna will definitely take care of me. Doesn't have fear. Doesn't have fear. Why? Because he has this strong conviction. Krishna will always take care of me. Doesn't matter what's going on, what's happening. So for a sannyasi, it's extremely important that he puts himself in situations to depend on the mercy of the Lord. This is how his faith becomes stronger and stronger and stronger. He must be completely convinced that I shall never be alone. Even in the darkest region of the forest, I shall be accompanied by Krishna and he'll give me all protection. He is trying to completely purify his existence. For a sannyasi, it is strictly forbidden to have any intimate relationships with a woman. So it doesn't mean that he cannot speak with a woman, but it's always should be just for important matters, and it's always on a social place in front of other people. He cannot stay associating intimately with the woman. This is forbidden for a sannyasi. For the brahmacharis also. They can speak with the ladies, but they should not stay alone in the association of ladies. So, Lord Chaitanya is the example of this. A female devotees of Lord Chaitanya, they have to offer their respects to him at a distance. And he would even not look at a wooden doll of a woman. So Lord Chaitanya was very, very strict. Why he was strict? Just to give example to us that we have to be kind of careful in our association, mixing with the opposite gender. Again, this is not some fanatical understanding or something like that. The idea of this thing is that we can focus our mind on Krishna. Because the attraction between man and a woman is extremely strong, yes? And to keep our mind on Krishna, this external separation in the Vedic culture is false, to some extent, of course. In the Western world, it's a little bit more difficult to be strictly followed. In India, it's easier. But as a general principle, it's helpful for the spiritual advancement, especially during the stages of brahmachari and later in the stages of sannyas. These are the rules. There is an example with Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati in this regard. He would never talk with a female alone. Once a young married woman came and insisted on speaking with him in a private place, but he absolutely refused. So he was giving initiation to a ladies, but he was not staying alone with them. And again, the idea was why? Because a sannyasi should not stay alone with a woman. A sannyasi may have wealth, but not for sense gratification. Should be used for the preaching of Krishna. So our sannyasi in ISKCON, sometimes they may work with money, but they should not use them for themselves, rather they use them to develop some project for preaching for Krishna consciousness. This is the idea. A sannyasi is meant to preach Krishna consciousness with logic and very deep understanding, and in this way convince others about the importance of Krishna consciousness. This is the main thing of his life. It's meant to give Krishna consciousness to others. Thank you very much. You have some questions? Yes.
I just wanted to ask. So is there like I think I can't remember what the name of it is, but there's like another role, I guess, in the temple where people get married and have
Yes.
partners, and I can't remember what that's called. Elaborate on
A
that.
family life, grihasta.
Okay.
It's called grihasta. Yes, we were speaking in the beginning of the class that generally in the beginning of one's life, one is a disciple, student. Its Vedic term is brahmachari, so he is getting through a training. And then, generally the culture is that you don't associate closely with a lady, so that your mind can be focused on this part. But then later you can become a family person, and then you can move in life. And then, of course, you have a wife, you associate. But again, the real family life means Krishna is in the center and not the exploitation. Because often when we get together with a man or with a woman, we are thinking the main thing is, okay, how to exploit him. That's the idea. Here we are speaking about something else. Thank you very much for your association. If you like it, if you feel inspired, please come back again next